You know, I was in Zagreb. I mean, of course, I mean, that grows out of it. But I have to say that there is also a desire here through the project to provocate, you know, I mean, to provoke something. Because, you know, governments and idiot politicians and bourgeoisie and corporate officers have no imagination whatsoever, except how to market a new product, and they do that by surveys and polls and all the rest. So to come into a situation that's volatile, where some kind of change is imminent or is happening, and to throw something maybe extreme out there, at least opens up the discourse, you know? Because if you just sit there waiting for those people to act, if you just take no initiative yourself, wait for the phone to ring, and say, well, can you come and build this for us? It'll just be crap. It'll be the same old crap. And no one's going to be really happy with that. I just came back from Sarajevo a month ago. I hadn't been there for a number of years, and since, really for a serious visit, since about '96. I've been back, my wife is from there, so we've been on a family visit. But I was talking with architects and so on, and seeing how these sites that I was showing, you know, the ones, smoke coming out of them and everything, how they had been approached and rebuilt. Very interesting, and not much has happened. It's still a problem they don't know how to deal with, you know. Are they, for whatever reason, we can get into that. Is there, well, that just goes nowhere, so I'll just leave it at that, okay?
Yeah, rebuilding is not so easy. I remember I was raised in East Germany. The ruins were with us for 25 years.
Yes.
I have no trouble with it. I like to play in the ruins, you know, so I exercised for this here. Okay, David?
I'm just curious how you respond to the assertion that architecture imposes moral order.
Well, I don't know whose assertion that is.
Right.
Huh? I mean, but look, architecture does, I don't know, about moral order. I'm not sure what that phrase means. I'd have to get into what you mean by moral order. For me, morality has to do with good and bad, right and wrong, versus ethics, which is a more complex set of issues, because it's not necessarily about good and bad. It's about, you know, complex relationships between people and groups of people. But certainly when the resources it takes to build buildings, you know, especially if they're coming from the public sector, from government, where it's taxpayers' money or whatever, or even from private companies that are on the New York stock market, you know, they're public companies. And these resources are used to build buildings. You better believe there's a very definite idea of the order of society being imposed through the architecture. You know, that's inevitable. If they built what I'm drawing, then I'd be, you know, that would be imposing a different set of ethical and moral ideas of order. So we can't avoid it. We have to make a commitment. You know, we have. I'm an old, you know, Sartre enthusiast, at least the early Sartre. You know, we have to be engaged. You know, that's the most important, that we have to get involved. So when Sarajevo was under attack, I had to get involved. I had to get involved as an architect, because that's what I knew how to do. So I had to take my skills. If I'd been a doctor, I could have taken those skills. But just to, you know, stand and watch it happen. So there's a moral dimension there too, you see. So you're right. It's present.
Okay. Do we want to have two more? Okay, please, Elizabeth.
I was curious, you haven't said anything about the virtual world. And I see things like Second Life, where people are starting to create these very interesting, odd, creative architectures where avatars can go in and start trying to figure out, at least in some sense, how to be in that space. And I was wondering if you have done anything in that or thoughts of doing that.
Of course, that's something very new to me. I've heard of it dimly and distantly. But that's a whole new frontier, you know. Maybe I'm too old for that, to really learn that way, you know. Or maybe not. Maybe, you know, maybe I can still get involved with that in some way. But certainly it is part of the coming world, and maybe a very big, important part. And you know, maybe some people who go follow and pursue that will look back at some of the things I did and say, well, you know, for a primitive guy, he was onto some tracks, you know. But now we can really do it, you know.
It's actually a very good ending, okay?
Okay.